Today we're going to be taking you on a walk that we did through the Latin Quarter of Paris. We happen to have a dear friend who lives there, and she took us on this sort of a little bit less touristy trip through this historical part of the city. I'll include a map of where we went, so you can kind of recreate this walk on your own if you like. It took us the better part of about a half a day. We started near Notre Dame and walked down the Rue des Grands Degrés and the Rue de la Boucherie. We didn't go down the lovely Rue Galande, which is one of the oldest streets in Paris, but you should definitely do that if you're in the neighborhood. And if you go down Rue de la Boucherie, you will find the oldest tree in Paris, which was planted here by the official gardener of the king in 1601, and it is still here. It is a robinia. In the United States, I think it's what we would call a black locust, but it's beautiful. It's a lovely little park right here. You can actually see Notre Dame from right here. And I believe there's a Christmas market that takes place here as well around the holidays. So it's a really popular and sort of quiet little place to come and be right in the middle of everything. Also very, very close to the famous Shakespeare and Company bookstore if you want to come and read. We crossed the street from here and went to the church of San Severan. And something to remember about Paris, there are more churches to visit than just the Notre Dame. Look how amazing this is. And you can walk right in. The doors are open on these churches, and feel free to walk in and wander, be respectful and stay quiet. And I tried not to be too obtrusive with the filming because it is a church and just out of respect. But these are such beautiful spaces. If you get a chance to just walk past a church that's open, make sure you stick your head in and walk around and look at the beautiful architecture and stained glass in some of these lesser known churches in Paris. As we came out of that church, we actually walked past a bit of a wall, and you'll find things like this everywhere. This is part of a wall that marks the spot of a 13th century convent, which was here until the Revolution. There are places like this all through Paris. If you keep your eyes peeled, there are bits of old wall and bits of, old retaining pieces of things that are from centuries and centuries ago. So cool to see. When you're in this area, you're also very close to the Cluny Museum, which is the Museum of Medieval History and also contains a very cool downstairs frigidarium and Roman ruins. One of my favorite museums in Paris and one of the only ones that I've been to more than once, and definitely worth a visit. After that, we will be heading for the square of Samuel Papy, where you have to go and make sure to rub the lucky foot on the statue of Michel de Montaigne, a renowned Renaissance philosopher. His bronze foot is polished where the students who thought it was good luck to rub his foot before sitting for their exams, they rubbed it so much that it is gold, as you can see right here. And it's a very popular tourist destination as well. And I found it interesting to note that this is the second statue here, because the original one was done in marble, and it had so many touches on the foot that they ended up replacing it with bronze here. And it's also considered to be good luck to say "Salut Montaigne" as you pass. From here, we are going to be wandering into the Place de la Sorbonne, which is where the students can gather around this gorgeous fountain. It's a terrific place to just sit and take a quick break. But we didn't spend too much time here because we were headed to an even more interesting fountain that we will see next. We wandered up from the Place de la Sorbonne to the Jardin de Luxembourg, which is a very famous garden in the Latin Quarter. And if you enter and stay to the right, kind of bear to the right and you will head for the Medici fountain. And be sure, before you go to the front of the fountain, be sure that you check the back side of it, which is a little known, hidden, separate fountain that is here on the back side. It is called the Fontaine de Leda. This largely unnoticed fountain was built at the corner of two other streets in the later 1800s when Baron Haussmann was busy changing Paris and all the boulevards. This fountain on this backside right here was in danger of being destroyed, and so some architects preserved it and moved it, and because it was a wall fountain, they mounted it on the back of this, the Medici fountain. So it was saved, but it remained somewhat hidden. And here we have the amazing Medici fountain, which was originally commissioned by Marie de Medici, who was the widow of France's King Henry IV. Around 1630, she had this built as part of her Palais de Medici on the left bank of the Seine River. By the mid-1700s, it had fallen into disrepair. The statues were disappearing from it, parts of it had crumbled, and in 1811, Napoleon had it restored by the architect of the Arc de Triomphe. In 1864, when Haussmann, again, was planning to build the Rue de Medici nearby, right through where the fountain sat, another architect moved it 30 meters to make room for that street, and here it has remained. And this is an absolutely stunning spot. If you want to just come and sit by a beautiful water feature, I can't think of a more beautiful place to do it. From the fountain, we walked into the main part of the garden, and there's a lot to see here, but we kind of just headed into the central part, and this was Easter Sunday, so you get a sense of how busy it is here on an Easter Sunday. It's a beautiful place to stop and sit, but it is a little crowded on some holidays and probably all summer. And of course, when you visit, you need to make your way to the very famous central Grand Bassin, which is the large pond that's here, where literally generations of Parisian children have enjoyed pushing wooden sailboats around on the water with long sticks. And you can see, clear back to the early 1900s, you'll see grainy black and white videos of children doing the exact same thing down through the decades. And just as a couple side notes for tourists and visitors here, we came in with our friend and her dogs, and she said that the entire park is not dog friendly, but there is a part of it kind of closer to the entrance where the dogs are allowed, so she stayed there with the doggies. And there are restrooms here, so we were able to find restrooms easily, and we spent a little bit of time just kind of wandering this area and checking it out. You can also see the Montparnasse Tower there. We didn't walk the whole garden, it's about 57 acres total, but as you turn around here you can see the Luxembourg Palace, which was the residence built for Marie de Medici in the 1600s, and it is currently where the French Senate meets. You leave the garden crossing Boulevard Saint-Michel and you'll wander down tiny Rue Royer-Collard. I did not film Rue Le Goff, but we walked down that. And then you'll turn right on Rue Soufflot, which takes you straight up to the Pantheon, Paris's first major monument, replacing the original mausoleum built here by Clovis, the king of the Franks in the 6th century. The current Pantheon as we know it was commissioned between 1764 and 1790 by Louis XV, who intended it as a church for Sainte Geneviève. During the Revolution, it was voted to change it into a mausoleum for distinguished French citizens, and its mausoleum now contains tombs of such famous notaries as Voltaire, Victor Hugo, Marie Curie, Dumas, Louis Braille, and many more. Inside you can also see a copy of the famous pendulum that was originally built in 1851 to demonstrate the Earth's rotation. We didn't go in. Instead, we stayed to the left and went to this church you can see ahead of us here that is the Church of Saint-Étienne-du-Mont, where there has been a church of some kind again since the 6th century. Clovis, the king of the Franks, built a basilica here where he and his wife were buried, and eventually Sainte Geneviève was buried there next to them. She was the patron saint of Paris, and it is said that her prayers saved Paris from Attila the Hun in 451. Her remains had been moved many times over the centuries, and they were actually disinterred and burned during the Revolution, and what was left of them was placed in her shrine inside this church. And I have heard that some of them were in the spire of Notre Dame, which was destroyed in 2019. So this is where you will find her tomb. This is one of several churches that has been built here. This one was started in 1492 and not even consecrated until 1626. and the carved pulpit that you'll see in here was installed in 1651. Another beautiful building. You just, again, don't miss these churches that stand on, you know, random neighborhoods in Paris. Definitely you should go in and visit these beautiful, beautiful spaces. As you leave the church, you can make your way back down to finish the loop by walking down the hill towards the Seine River on the Rue de la Montagne Sainte-Geneviève, which is a lovely, quaint street that just sort of strolls you back down the hill. You'll pass cafes and quaint little alleys and sort of medieval back streets. We stopped along the way for a quick coffee, but it was starting to rain, so we kind of needed to hurry and make our way back to the Ile Saint-Louis where we were staying. This will tie into the Boulevard Saint-Germain, which is also fun to walk down. We crossed over right here onto this little tiny street called Rue de Bièvre and made our way back to the river and crossed back over to the Ile Saint-Louis where we were staying. All in all, this made a lovely walk for a good portion of a day. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us. Let us know in the comments your favorite parts of the Latin Quarter and any hidden secret spots that you'd like to share. The total walk we did here was about 3.7 miles. A little bit of it is up and down hill, but it was not a bad walk at all. Super nice for a perfect afternoon in April. And here is the map. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.